Okay, so here is my preliminary design for Tech Commander software. This is the software application that I'll be designing for my Athabasca degree project. So just going to get right into it and kind of show you what it's going to look like. So you'll just have to bear with me because I'm fairly new to this software that I'm using here. It's basically just a whiteboard, so I'll be able to draw some stuff out, write some stuff out, and just kind of go over a quick and dirty whiteboard session design. Alright, so the application is a multi-client simultaneous remote desktop client. So before I get into the details, let's just talk about what is a remote desktop client. So typically, a remote desktop client allows you to connect to another computer that's either in your same network or in a different network somewhere else. Most of the time it's used for people to, say, connect to their work computers or connect to their home computers or connect to servers is the most common uses of it. So how it works is you'll usually have just an icon on your desktop. That's your remote desktop icon. You'll click it, and then what happens is you'll get the screen of your computer that you're working on, and you can interact with it just like you would anything, right? So you'll have all your desktop icons, and you can have an open program or two, and basically it gives you the full control over the computer. A lot of remote desktop apps will have different options. So, maybe down here they'll have a way to reboot the computer. They might have something up here where you can send files to the computer. There may be a way for you to download files from the computer to yourself, and then access, information of that computer that kind of shows up in a different screen. So it works really well for what it's supposed to be used for, which is, to connect one person to one other computer. What we are going to do is we're going to take that concept and redo it for a typical computer repair shop. So let's get rid of all of this stuff here. We'll just blah blah blah, goodbye. There doesn't seem to be a select all. Nope, there's not. Come on. Okay. So first, let's talk about okay. So your typical computer repair shop. So in the repair area, because that's really all we need to talk about, you may have a bench, right? So this is our tech bench. That's what a tech bench looks like, I guess. So what you're gonna have is something called a KVM switch. So that stands for keyboard, video, mouse. So what that allows you to do, and we're just going to go ahead and erase that because we don't need to see that anymore. Maybe I'll write that somewhere else. Yeah, okay, KVM. So that stands for keyboard, video, mouse. So typically what you're going to have, so on this tech bench, we're going to have one screen, and that's what a computer screen looks like, in case you didn't know. And then you're going to have your keyboard. That is a pretty high-end keyboard. And then you have a mouse. Okay, so this stuff all connects to this. Right? So then what you have is out of here comes one station here, one station here, one station here, whoop, one station here, one there, and one there. So what you get out of these three spots is your connection for your keyboard, your mouse, and your monitor. So you can, take computers that come in for repair and you can plug it in here. And then you get another one, you plug it in here, another one, plug it in here, and so on and so forth. So the idea is that with this system, you can control all 6 of these computers. These block things are computers, right? If you haven't seen a computer before, that's what they look like. Exactly like that, actually. So what it allows you to do is you can control all 6 of these computers with a keyboard, mouse, and a monitor. and basically there's just either a button on the KVM or a keyboard command that allows you to switch. So you can work on one at a time. So you can be working on this one, and then, oh, I need to see what's going on in here. So you press the button, it switches control to here, it switches this videos out to this screen here, and you can continue working like that. So it works pretty well. It's a really good system. If you didn't have this system, then you'd have to have, you know, screens and keyboards and mice for every single one of these. Which first of all would be really costly, and then just it would be a big cluttered mess. You'd have all these screens all over the place. You know, the only real advantage that would give you, and let's just draw these out, is you'd be able to see all of the screens at once. So that would definitely have some benefit to be being able to do that. So what are we going to do? We're going to take this concept with this idea of this multi-monitor, and we're going to combine it all, and we're going to do it in a software package so that we don't have to buy expensive hardware, although who's saying the software won't be expensive, we'll see. And we are going to make a program called Tech Commander. It will be one screen, so that's, let's say that's your computer screen, and what you're going to have is you're going to have you know, in the first design, we're going to have 8 screens inside this one screen, right? So this is basically what you're going to see, a little bit bigger. And what you're going to see is these 8 smaller screens are going to be the video output of 8 clients. So 8 computers that you're working on, you're actually going to see them all here. And so they're going to transmit their video data to this program. You're going to have in the middle here is going to be your Commander console. So in here you're going to have, you know, your various options to do various things. And then, you know, the idea is there's going to be, you know, some nice visuals to kind of, you know, make it look really cool. So that's basically what's going to happen. So you're going to have 8 clients all streaming video to the host, the Commander. And he's going to be able to control all of these computers and see all of them basically at once. So how is that going to happen? If I type in an M over here, is there going to be an M over here and an M over here and an M over here and an M over here? No, that would be really stupid, wouldn't it? So we're going to take, you know, the concept of the KVM, which is, you know, singular control, and I guess it's more singular control multi-visual, right? So we're going to be able to see all of these, but we're still only going to be able to control one at the same time for the most part. So what is this going to look like? So first of all, in your big screen here, so let's say we're looking at a 24-inch monitor, each of these windows is actually probably going to be smaller than this. This is definitely not to scale. So let's move along down here again, and what we'll do is we'll talk about, okay, so this is our console. Let's just talk about one client right here. So this client, client number 1, what it's going to be doing is this window is going to be updating at a reduced interval. So we're not going to be having all these clients running in real time because that's a little crazy. The bandwidth requirements would be pretty heavy, and there's really no need for it. So at this stage, this particular client window is going to update at, let's say, once every 30 seconds, once every minute. You know, those details will be worked out as the software starts to come to life, and so we'll tweak that, but it's going to be at a reduced interval. The idea is that when they're all like that, you can monitor them. You don't need to be seeing them in real time because you're typically waiting for them to finish a particular repair, a particular update, a particular software install, maybe some kind of virus or junkware removal tool, or something is going to be running on these where you can kind of glance at them all, and if you see one that needs interacting with, then you can do so. So that's kind of where some of the magic happens. So let's say you see that there's interaction that's needed on this screen. Maybe you can't quite see what's going on, so when you mouse over this particular screen, what's going to happen is it's actually going to enlarge. It's going to go bloop, and it's going to give you a much larger version of that screen, and the update interval is going to increase. So maybe if we're looking at 30 seconds, maybe it's going to go down to 10 or 5 or 2 or 3 or whatever it happens to be. Not going to be quite real time, but it's going to be more updating so you can get a better idea of what's going on. If you mouse over, it's going to instantly shrink back to this size here. And then the same with anything over here. Anytime you mouse over, it's going to go bloop, and it's going to grow to this larger size. Now, should you choose, if you click on this screen, probably double click, what that's going to give you is it's going to give you full screen. Stop doing that. Right, so all of a sudden, bam, 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 now you're controlling the software, remote desktop, just like every other remote desktop app that's out there, just like remote desktop itself built into Windows. And you're going to have to do, you click on what you wanted to click on, you run what you wanted to run, and that's that. So that's basically a big part of that, is being able to see all of these screens and watch what they're all doing, but you don't necessarily need to interact with them until you notice something. Something has changed, something has happened, something has stopped scanning, something needs a reboot. You can go bloop bloop and then click and then start working. Now, there's other things that we're going to want to do. For example, if we see on this one that Windows Updates has finished, or something else is done, we need to reboot the computer. So one way to do it, let's move along, would be to, let's go purple. Hover over the screen. All of a sudden the screen goes bloop. It would actually be over top, and then you would click on it, and then you would get your full screen. That's a full screen. And then you'd click on your start button, and then you'd click the little thing with the shutdown button, and then you'd click on shut down for real this time, and you'd have to do all these really crazy steps to get the computer to shut down. Oh man, there's got to be a different way. So instead, when we mouse over our little window and it expands to this size, what we're also going to see is what's called the Commander ribbon. And it may be just the top, it may be down the sides, it may be the bottom. Haven't really worked that out yet, but what's going to happen is there's going to be little widgets and buttons and levers and all sorts of crazy things here. There's the big red button. Don't press that one. Then there's a button, there's a slider, doop doop. There's another button, and there's another button. So these buttons are really the part of the console, the remote desktop application that really drives it towards computer repair shop, computer repair environment type situation, where these buttons are going to be pre-programmed with numerous different options. So, for example, in this button may be the autofix button. In the autofix button, what you'll find is a number of commands that it will execute to the computer that are common in fixing certain things. So, deploying a registry fix, deploying a Windows update reset, automatically running a particular type of scanner it's in the program as the executable file may be bundled with it, or you may be needing to provide it depending on licensing rules. But it'll be able to run that program with certain parameters if you need to, and it's kind of like an automatic. So I want to run, I don't know, let's say a JRT. There'll be a JRT sub button within this room, with this button. You'll press it, it'll run it. You don't have to click on the folder you downloaded and then click on the file, and all these clickety-clickities. We're just going to click and done, and it's going to do that. So there may be a reboot button. So maybe it's going to be, I don't know, right here. Let's say this is the reboot button. Now we have two options. One, we could click on it and we're going to go, hey, do you want to reboot? Are you sure? And we could probably have that, and that's 2 clicks, and that's pretty good. Or maybe there'll be, I hope I don't press the wrong button mode, in which case this doesn't happen. You just click that and it reboots. Now, don't be a jerk and just click that 100 times. But also, if we do something like that, then you're definitely going to have to be aware. Perhaps that might not be the best move, or maybe we don't put the button right there, but that's basically the bread and butter of this software, is this command window, a command ribbon that's going to have a lot of this really cool pre-programmed stuff, and that's really going to make the software totally awesome, because it's going to be able to automate a lot of tasks, it's going to simplify a lot of things, and it's just going to be making fixing multiple computers at the same time just faster and better, and even so much cooler. I mean, you're going to sit in front of a 27, maybe a 32-inch screen, and you're going to sit back with a keyboard and a mouse on your lap, and you're going to control 8 computers and fix them all without even getting up. Now, of course, not including things like diagnostics, anything hardware-based, and of course having to plug stuff in. But this is going to allow somebody to do multi-computer repair at an accelerated pace. Now, depending on the best type of encryption we can get for, sorry, not encryption, compression that we can get for transmitting data, perhaps 8 clients, maybe we can do more than that. If we can do 12, if we can do 16, I mean, theoretically, a good computer tech could probably handle up to 20 on something like this. They definitely need a big monitor and some good high resolution. But as long as the bandwidth will allow and we modify our video update intervals, that's really going to be the only hang up, is how much video data can we stream. But for example, with the small icons, if that window is updating at 1/20th of the time, then we really should be able to have 20 of these small windows, and that's only sending as much data as one client. And so that seems pretty reasonable. Now when it bumps up, and let's say even that triples, then we're still only sending as much data as 3 clients, which I don't think is too crazy. I think that most computers could probably handle that. So I think that design will really work. So one of the other things that I wanted to mention in this design, let's move along again. So when we mouse over our small window and we get our big medium-sized window, what I need to determine is whether we're going to have some level of control here. So when you mouse over, the tricky part would be, would it be ideal to have keyboard and mouse interaction at that point? So if there's some kind of button there, do we really need to expand it to full screen first before we click the button? Or can we just, when it goes over here, can we just click the button and have it do its thing? And I think that may be something that I'll put in there. It really comes down to, does it make sense and does it work during the real design? And so that'll definitely be something that we'll play around with. There was a few optional components that I might look at as well. So one would be a work order system, one that's integrated with the software. Now there's lots of really good work order systems that are already out there, that they work well, etc., etc. However, what would be interesting is, while you're working on a computer, you may have a work order chart that's, maybe it's over here, blah 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 blah. So while you medium full screen a window, there may be things that you can check off while you're working, right? So I did my Windows updates, I cleaned out some temp files, I ran this scanner, I ran that scanner, blah 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 blah. What this would do is this would automatically populate your work order. You could probably make some of these mandatory starting off, so when the work order is created, we want to make sure that these items are finished. So when you click the big "I'm done fixing this computer," if any of these are unchecked, it goes, "Oh, hell no, you're not. Keep working. You forgot item 6. You forgot to whatever it is," right? And then, of course, when you're clicking these off, when you click done, your work order report contains this item, and this item, and this item, and this item, and everything else you've done already printed out. So you don't have to print out all this stuff about all these things that you did, that the type of things you're going to do on computers just about every time. And then what that also does is it gives consistency to the work orders between techs, and somebody can manage these, and what they want to say, what they want it to sound like, and they can make it always sound like that no matter what, so that you get that consistent experience between customers and work orders, and people aren't fumbling around trying to find what makes sense. Some people are awkward with words, and some people are better than others. And so if you have something that's consistent, it's simple, something that the customer can understand, and then the employees themselves are not wondering, oh, what should I write? Should I put that I ran all the Windows updates, or should I put that all the Windows updates were run, or were they ran, or did I ran them? And so you can just keep that simple. And so the work order module, that would probably be a really big part of it. But I think if I can, if I have enough time, perhaps in the second version of the software, if it gets that far, we can look at putting that in there. a couple of other modules, optional modules that if I have time or in the next version we'll do. One would be a normal RDP client built in, kind of like what you would typically find where somebody can just download the little app and run it on their computer, and you just take control of their computer like you would. So, I don't see that being a big optional one. I think we'll probably be able to pull that off in the time allotted. And so, not only will you use this to be able to control the computers you're repairing in the shop, but you could also use it to control remote computers. So, literally remote desktop, right? So you'd be able to do that. And the nice thing about this software is because when, if you want to use it on site, as long as you're on the local network, you don't have to worry about things like router ports and that kind of stuff, because internally it'll just work. So you go on site and you need to fix a few computers. Well, you could go to one computer and then you can go to the other one and then you can go to the other one. You can do that. Or you could bring your Tech Commander laptop, maybe bring a big screen with you, run the client on the computers you want to mess with. This one, Jack's computer and Bob's computer and Mike's computer, and you just take your laptop and run the Tech Commander here, and run the client here, that's a C, and the client here, and bam, bam, bam. Now you're controlling all three of these at the same time, and you can be better and faster and also look really cool doing that. The last optional module that I want to look at would be green, a knowledge base. So the idea behind the knowledge base, and this would definitely work more in a multi-store environment. MS stands for multi-store, in case you didn't know. So what you would have is in each Tech Commander software, you would have access to help. So, big help me button, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do. You click on this button, and what it gives you is a big box like this, and you've got categories. Categories, right? So this one is diagnostics. That's how you spell diagnostics. Kind of looks like a fish. This one is hardware. This one is Windows. This one is tune-ups, right? So when you click on one of these categories, what was that one again? Tune-ups. Okay, so here you're going to have, what's the procedure for doing a proper, maintenance on a computer, a proper tune-up. And then you're going to have, some common other issues. Maybe there's a problem with a particular program. Maybe there's a known bug with this procedure, right? So you're going to have all these kind of details here. For Windows updates, you're going to have, maybe how to run Windows updates. Maybe you're going to have another one that's like, which updates do I do? Right? And then maybe there's also going to be, common problems. And what's the fix for it? And this common problem. And what's the fix for it? And this common problem. And what's the fix for it? And so, essentially, all the knowledge of how to fix computers and all the common problems that we run into and what fixes we should apply can be contained in this knowledge base. Now, where the multi-store aspect of it really, really comes into play is you have your supervisor, your support manager, whoever is the guy that's in charge of how things are done. He has the control version in his Tech Commander, right? So what happens is, let's say, Johnny figures, I just found this problem 1, and I couldn't find a fix for it in our knowledge base, so I discovered a fix. And instead of phoning everybody and saying, hey, this is how you do it, the idea would be that he would be able to plug the problem into the Tech Commander software, into the knowledge base, and it would be, he chooses category, right? So this category was, let's say it was Internet Explorer problems. So we're going to put it in the IE category, and then we're going to boom problem 1, and then it's going to have, what's F? Answer 1. What the F is that? And so what's going to happen, though, is you're not just going to plug this in and it's just going to show up, because somebody may put something in here that maybe is not a good idea. Maybe it was a coincidence that the solution worked, but it's likely that the solution may actually cause some really bad problems. So what's going to happen is this whole situation here is going to go boom, 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 all the way down here, and it's going to show up in the support managers knowledge base console. It's not really a console. Anyway, it's going to show up in his system, and he will be able to either approve with edit, or deny, and with the reason, so that you can say this is stupid, or yeah, if you actually do that, it's going to cause the computer to blow up. So you cannot do that. But perhaps this may be the solution, or nope, you just can't do that. It's not really a problem, so don't worry about it. Or yeah, we accept the solution. That would put it in the knowledge base. There'd probably be maybe a credit to the person at the bottom of it as the author, so that people know, hey, you're awesome, you figured out that solution, blah blah blah. Or maybe there's a check mark but with an edit. So maybe this fix, it's pretty good, but we're going to put a precautionary note. If you are running this particular something, take these precautions first, or whatever. And so that's really going to make it powerful in the way that it allows people to interact and provide solutions to problems that may not exist, and also allow people to look up solutions. So rather than trying to scour the internet for a solution to error 529, you can go back up to the software, wherever it was, and yeah, I guess I forgot to mention that. You go up to the search box and you go, hey, error 529, and it goes blah 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 blah, and oh, right here under this category, bam, this is the solution to 529. You just run this fix problem .exe, because those are always safe, and so you run that, and suddenly, bam, no more problem 529. Or if you don't find it, then you submit it. Now here's the other thing that may happen. You may submit a problem, and it may go to the support manager, and he goes, oh, I actually know where that problem is, and it's just worded differently, and that's why you can't find it. So we do two things. First, we direct the employee to the proper fix so they can get the job done, and then we create a junction or a shortcut so that when they look up that particular problem with the keywords they were using, if that makes sense, it just goes and points to the problem that's actually the solution, and then everybody's happy. That is probably the more exciting aspect of the optional things that I want to do. So I think that's probably the one that I will tackle first, especially since I can take my own knowledge and plug a lot of information into there, so it almost comes pre-programmed with a tech in the box, so to speak. So I think that that'll definitely be a big one, something I want to work on, but we'll see if time allows. But if the software is successful, then it'll definitely end up in a later revision. So the only thing that I'll say is, at some point, the first design is going to be probably pretty crude. It's not going to look quite like this, maybe a little bit better. Ooh, I didn't know you could do that. And then, as time allows and as budget allows, we'll definitely modernize it up, make it look really cool, make it look like something that people would be proud to use, rather than just a bunch of static buttons. We don't want just cold gray stuff, right? We want to make it look fancy, jazz it up, but also keep the functionality. And then the idea is that we would also make a website to market it and figure out how that's going to look like, what the licensing is going to look like. Are we just going to sell it and here you go? Is it going to be a yearly thing, subscription based, support extra, whatever. And that'll definitely come later once the software is done. So that ends my preliminary design for Tech Commander. I hope that it works out well. I'll definitely post another video once we have the first iteration of the program going. Thanks.